Anyway, if we head over here, we'll go talk about Tibet. Now, for some reason, Guangdong is quite developed, and considering it's in the Tibetan Autonomous Province, I don't understand why. It's like the Xinjiang Autonomous Province, which is roughly here-ish. And of course, China is huge. Haven't really emphasized that enough, but the name placement's terrible. They really need to annex Mongolia. But how huge they are. They even, you know, have... I can't pronounce that, but a Yakutian culture province. That's as big as Lithuania. Of course, you have to factor in the projection you're using and whatever else, because you can't fully recognize a 3D, well, a globe, a 3D object on a 2D printout, but it's quite huge. So it'd be about the, if you translate it, because it goes by latitude, yeah, be about the size of more populated Finland. And of course, the Soviet Union split in two, so they literally have to have sea access between these two regions. And for some reason, let's just go into the nets and put 39,000 troops that can't be supported up there. Oh wait, they probably... I'm going to check the supply limit map mode. This bit me in the back last time, because you're the... Yeah, because we're the observer, we can't actually see. See, that's only 95 for us. For the nations in the map, that'd be about 1,000. So, though they are taking attrition up here, so maybe that's an indicator. But it wouldn't be as low for them as it is for us. And of course, the Caucasus Mountains are still a mess, with Circassia getting released and Azerbaijan actually making gains. We have Ukraine still got the border with Belarus. Very interesting border too, because they essentially block off the Soviet Union from the rest of the world. And the Soviet Union, at least they get the chance to develop now, I guess. But yeah, they can focus a bit more in one region, because what they have to do is essentially just go across and expand here. So you see regions like Pagaya Oda and these ones that are in Cyrillic, and I can't pronounce them properly, or Russian. They're not Cyrillic because that's the... yeah. So I'll explain myself. Cyrillic is the style of writing, and that, like Greek and some of the Slavic languages are written in Cyrillic, whereas Russian is the actual spoken language. Rightio, we have some wars. The British-Spanish Imperialist War. Don't know why that's occurring. And we have the Peruvian reconquest of Tumbes. So Peru and Mexico up against Venezuela. Rightio. So, unrest. No, that's not something we require. Bleh. No, that's not it either. Oh yes, we're looking at the Imperial map mode. So it appears that Spain has left the EU, which is why we're having this war here. And of course we have Peru and Mexico up against Venezuela, who is quite heavily developed actually now that they've been absolutely deprived of their jungle. They're looking alright. They are looking alright. And of course Colombia's still going alright as well, since they've been released. Independence guaranteed by Peru. Indeed. So Brazil really... Let's have a look at Brazil's alliance network. They have Mexico on their side. Argentina has Bolivia. So if Brazil pushes into Argentina, they could do plenty of damage and probably annex them. And Guyana is their vassal now, so that's a bit more. Once more. And is there any movements here? And it does not appear that there's military access between these two. Through Colombia or Brazil, so it doesn't matter. So Spain is almost fully sat upon. There we go. And that has caused Spain to lose what? Spain has only lost land. Rightio. So they lost Cadiz, Granada, Almeria, Jaén, Cordova or Cordoba, Badajoz, and Andalusia, or Sevilla, if you like. Oh, and Cadiz. So, yeah, the rich south of the nation, which in real life, yeah, it's pretty well developed. It's, yeah. Of course, the Pyrenees aren't as developed, but oh well. So, well then, the British are staking claim as quite the power. Quite the power indeed. Canada sitting as the USA's top hat. And developing. They're definitely gaining. Ontario almost being quite developed. And Quebec also looking nice. I'm surprised how much they adhere to the outline there. And they also have a vein from Quebec down to Niagara. And the US, New England, of course, is not too developed. So we have the northern parts of Vermont and New Hampshire, and the northern parts and a bit of coast of Maine, not being too developed. Oh, and northern New York, but whatever. And, oh, the westernmost port. Oh, I don't know what I was going to say there. That was a weird accent there. Over mountains, so the westernmost part of North Carolina. And of course it gets a bit more, yeah, haphazard over in the west. Anyway, so the Peruvian reconquest of Tumbes, which has been going on, and the Saudi Arabian-Iraqi imperialist war. Rightio. Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Sudan, and Turkmenistan up against Iraq, Turkey, and the Soviet Union. Uzbekistan has been annexed. Rightio, this will be quite interesting. The Saudis and the Egyptians will absolutely hammer Turkey and Iraq, and Turkmenistan will have to stave off the flood of Soviets that come through, or just Russian troops in general. Iraq already losing what they owned of the Euphrates or the Tigris. One of them. I've forgotten. Oh well. And now they're essentially just pushed back into Persia. They did win a battle against a Saudi army though. And this border's looking quite heated as if Egypt moves in and takes out the Turkish army, ensures Turkey pieces out early, they won't have to worry about the Soviet Union's troops coming down from the north. Now, Kazakhstan is a bit of a sight, let's just say. They really should not be there. But looks like China's declared war on them. China changed government form of Kazakhstan, and they're at war with the Soviet Union and Kyrgyzstan, of course. Little Kyrgyzstan. Well then, so we're going to see a more occupied Soviet Union, and perhaps the loss of this little straight connection, the Kara Sea connection, between the two regions, between Russia and Siberia. Of course, essentially, how they usually work it is Russia is anything, well, the region of Russia is anything west of the Urals, and eastern of the Urals is Siberia. Of course, there are variants, like you have central Siberia here, and some of the oblasts and the Krais do cross over the Urals. Like you have the Republic of Bashkortostan, which I think is in the Urals and a bit on each side of the Urals. So it's the Russian system of governance is quite in-depth. Worth looking at, actually. I think they have 5 different government forms of autonomy for each area. So, like, they have the oblasts, which are the fully integrated regions. They have the krais, which are kind of like cultural areas with some autonomy. They have the autonomous oblasts. I think the only one in real life currently is the Jewish autonomous oblast over in Siberia. And they have the republic system, which is essentially countries within Russia, it's quite a weird system. Anyway, there's also another one, okrugs, which are for regions where there's barely any population, and no significant ethnic groups. Anyway, I digress, because there is more war. Chinese, yep, okay, Peruvian conquest of Arica. So this has ended, so Peru's just going whole hog. So they have conquered Tumbes, and they're now going after Arica. Hopefully the Chilean Navy around Easter Island is good enough, however it looks like it won't be enough to stave off that 54 stack. Oh, they could build a couple more troops with that 87 development, however, we may see a full annex of Chile. Until next time, of course, because Chile always seems to crop up again. It does look like they will destroy this force, they'll get back on their ships and leave. Rightio, let's have a look at the little islands, because Society Islands and Tahiti, or if you like French Polynesia, are owned by France. We have the Cook Islands owned by New Zealand with a weird flag. Why is your flag like that, New Zealand? They gave Australia a nice one too. Yeah, the All Blacks rugby team symbol, and we got the Eureka flag. Yeah, I think that's the Eureka flag. And of course France also owns New Caledonia, or Nouvelle Calédonie. Sorry, pardon my French. We also have Tonga and Samoa, or Samoa, and Fiji, not too well developed. And of course, American Samoa is not properly represented here, but we have Tuvalu, Kiribati, Gilbert Islands, which are also owned by Kiribati. We have Marshall Islands, and we have Micronesia, Solomon Islands, Vanuatu, and a bunch of other people. Of course, we also have Ternate, which is just there for no reason. Indonesia also not developing very well. They're doing a bit worse than Australia in that regard. Oh well. Anyway, let's have a look. All the war has ended. We missed it all. I do apologise. Ranting over in our places. Rightio. So, Saudi Arabia, Turkmenistan, Egypt and Somalia and Ethiopia. Looks like Iraq lost a lot. So they lost, yeah, everything but those 4. Turkey also lost Hamad. No, they lost Adana and Antioch. And Soviet Union has not quite lost anything. Anyway, did they? Yes, they lost 1 province. Anyway, I'm going to end the episode here. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. Don't know what happened there. I do apologise. I will get back in the talking type of thing. I've been on holidays, I'm sorry. Brain's kinda dead. Anyway, till next time, have a good